X.
So now here, like yesterday, what we have learned is all about the decorators. As you know, it's very useful and it basically allows a function in order to extend the behavior of a wrapped function. So since we did for a few more examples to understand like why like are you why are we writing, why are we using a written statement to go ahead and call that particular function. So let me just give you the basic example here. So let me just define a decorator. Okay, let me just define a decorator, something called as to convert all the strings whatever you give in an uppercase. Okay, so I'm writing upper and here I'm writing decorator. Okay, just it's the name of the function. Inside this name of the function I'm passing a one more particular parameter, like just like function here. Okay, just like a function I'm just passing it like.
And can it be any name, sir?
Yeah, can it be any name? So what do you want
Can
me
you
to add?
basically change that name to
Yeah, you can pretty much write like let us say this is an
better?
uppercase. You just write it. See, it should not be a confusion for you. So like you can choose any particular name like convert. We can just write convert.
Yeah.
Okay. So this particular convert now, since I am writing a decorator, let me just write one more particular function inside, something called as wrapper, so that we are directly indicating that it allows us to wrap a function in order to extend its behavior of a wrapped function. So right now what am I doing here is I'm just writing a wrapper function over here. Okay, and I am calling that particular function, and in this particular function, since you can see that I have already wrote the convert over here, so now what I'm going to do is I will take a variable called x, and in the x I will pass convert. Okay, in the x I would pass this convert. So now whatever the parameter here is, this particular parameter will become that particular convert. You're understanding what I'm trying to do? The parameter here will convert as a function. Okay, so now this particular parameter I would be calling inside this. Now after calling inside this I would say something as that uh, convert uppercase, and convert
Okay. So the
uppercase.
question on that,
For the
sir.
question on that, convert uppercase is just a variable, guys. Okay, this particular variable I say upper, there's, you know, right, there is a function to convert the strings, like to
Yeah,
convert
yeah,
into
the sir.
uppercase we have a method called dot upper, so that it will convert all the uppercase letters. But here what do I need to do is I needed to return the convert, like what I have designed it. I needed to return that convert uppercase. Okay, now here I would return the wrapper function what I have defined. Now my decorator has been finished. Now what
Okay.
I
So
would do,
the
yeah.
question on that, do we really need to write that wrapper inside that function?
Exactly. Why I am writing the wrapper, you would able to understand now. Because decorators are nothing but, I mean, as you can see that it's kind of a meta programming, as I said you. So if you are designing a decorator, it's better like if you have the nested functions inside a function, so that it would be, so that what is the point if you are not using a nested function, if you are directly using single function, then what is the point of using a decorator, right? So if you are using a nested function, it's just like a template what you design, and for all the objects you wanted to do that template. So here this decorator basically means that this is an uppercase decorator which basically converts, if you use this decorator in any other function, basically converts that string into an uppercase. So this is a kind of an example. I'll explain you line by line once again. So let me just write something called as say hi over here. Say hi. Okay, in this particular hi, like when I just write something called as, this is an parameter what I am writing here, just say hi with an open function, then I am returning something called as hey, or something called as hi. Okay, hi there I would like to write, see I'm writing in a lower case, guys, do not get confused. Hi there, I'm just writing like this. So basically I'm returning this. Now what do I do is I will take one variable is equal to a. In this particular variable I will call out this uppercase decorator is there, right? I will copy this, I'll paste it here. Inside this I would like to write something called as say hi. Now if I call out, the a particular function, okay, nothing will happen because I have used the written. So let me just print it and show it to you so that you will be able to understand. See, hi there is converted into the capital letters. Now you must be wondering, Raj, I mean, you have taken the upper decorator and directly you have said hi is there is any very is there is any beautiful way for us to go ahead and write it something at the rate symbol? Yes, you can do it. So let me just basically let me just copy this and let me just paste it so that you can use this for a notes purpose. I'm commenting this out. So in the top of it, if I do something called as upper decorator, and basically when I just call out this particular say hi like this, okay, now you can see the magic once again that hi there is been printed. Not only hi there, you can write anything, like let us say my name is Randy Johnson, let us say any particular string, you can just write it, and if I execute this, see, everything is converted to the lowercase, so uppercase. Now I will give you one homework, guys. In the similar way, what I have defined over here, what I have just defined over here, I want you to design a decorator which basically converts all the strings into the lowercase. Can you do it? It's easy. And let me just explain you. This decorator, this is the name of the decorator, upper underscore. This is generally a function, name of the function. Convert is itself is a parameter. This parameter I should be able to call inside a nested function, so that this define wrapper is basically another function which is nested inside the upper decorator. Okay, so now I am taking a variable. This particular variable, I'm calling this convert particular parameter to convert this as a function. And basically I'm using one more particular parameter like convert uppercase, and I'm taking this x variable and converting that to the uppercase by using a upper method. This is the string manipulations when we are trying to do an executions. As I said, you dot upper is used to convert the strings into the uppercase. Dot lower is basically used to convert the into the lowercase. So here I am returning the uppercase, and again in the define wrapper, like to return the define, I am returning wrapper inside this particular return wrapper is inside the upper decorator function, whereas the return convert uppercase is inside the wrapper particular function. So now this becomes my decorator. Now this becomes my decorator, and like pretty much if you are writing anything, pretty much any function whichever you define, like let us say define name. Okay, this is an empty function, and in this particular empty function you would just write something called as just written. And let me just say I would write my name. Let us say my name is nothing but Alex Thomas, let's say. So you can see that only A is capital, rest all is the lowercase letters. Okay, so now when I'm just calling the name, of course nothing will print because we needed to print. I've used a return statement. Now only Alex Thomas will be printed. As you can see, only Alex Thomas can be printed. Now basically if I do something, the first method, if I can just write upper decorate on the top of it, I would get Alex Thomas in a caps lock. Okay, the other way is nothing but basically I can do something like I can just take it out. I can use the decorator something as directly I can take a variable like x is equal to, then I will call out upper decorator. Inside it I will call out the name like this. Now this x will become my function. Now basically if I call out the x again, so I would get the same output as Alex Thomas. Any doubts here? Like that, if you wanted to do something multiple another particular function, generally like that, and you can pretty much define something as like define cube. Okay, in this particular cube you will pass out the particular parameter as x or whatever it is. Let me just not only call x, let me just take you a here over here. Okay, and I would be returning something called as cube. So basically what does it mean? So x into a into a into a. So basically I'm writing a function to go ahead and create the cube. Now I wanted something as, one second guys, now I wanted something as, let us say I will take a for loop here, and I would say for I in range of 1 to 10, let's say, so 1 to 11, let's say, so that I needed the cubes of all the numbers. So how would I do it? I would nicely print like this, a print statement.
Yeah, printf and
Yes,
then
cube
placeholder
cube of
of
like
x.
I, which is equal
Yeah,
to, then I will take a function, then I will be calling that particular function cube here. Cube of I will call, because I is nothing but a parameter, right? So when I execute this nicely, I would get an output of all the numbers, like from 1 cube is 1, 2 cube is 8, like this till you would get till number 10, because the range which we have assigned it to 1 comma 3. Now you must be confusing, Raj, you have used a parameter a here. Why did you pass a parameter I? Isn't it confusing? And when you're calling a function and you're already changing the parameter itself here, so basically this particular parameter is a user input. You can pretty much write any particular parameter. I can pass something called as, let us say I can pass something called as r over here, and I can write something called as r over here, and I can write r over here. I still get the same output.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Okay, so
That is understandable. That's not confusing.
okay.
That's fine.
So let me just, like, this is just for understanding the decorators. You must have seen a switch. Like basically, the switch contains an on and off button, where if you turn on something, it will turn on. Where if you power, like if you off it, it will power off. Clear? So that particular switch we are going to create. Okay. So now what I would do is, so in the technical way, one is true and zero is false. Like one is nothing but on and zero is off. Agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, very good. So now here I would take something called as switch 1. This is basically switch 1 means to turn on. And in this, I would pass something called as turn. Okay, do not get confused. I would pass a parameter something called as turn. Now, after passing this particular parameter, I would define something called as on, empty particular function. And in this particular empty function, I would write something called as power on. And when I do the power on, now I would call out the turn over here. I would make this particular turn, make this turn parameter as a function directly, and
Okay.
I would return I would return on over here like this. Now what would I do is I would define a function, generally something called as PC, nothing but my computer, an empty function, guys. This is, do not get confused, and I would print something called as here as computer. Okay, here as computer. So now after creating the computer, as you know that if I call out PC, I would get an output something called as computer, but I needed to get the computer to be turned on. So I would put generally my switch one on the top of it, and I'll execute it, power on computer. Okay, now basically like this, what I would do is, now I will create one more switch here, like switch 0, basically to turn off. So again I will use a parameter called turn. If you are confusing, I will write something called as on over here. I will write something called as off over here. Okay, so do not get confused. So now I would use turn, then define, I would say something called as off with an empty parameter. Then I would print something called as power off here. Okay, then I would be calling that turn off as a function. Then I would be returning the off here, so that my switch will be prepared. Now I can use something called as switch 0 and switch 1. So basically if I execute this, I would get power on, power off computer. Like that I can do it. I
Yeah,
can just
that's
define, see, let us say I will define something called as machine, or else I'll just define something called as robot as an empty function. Then I will pass something called as um robot, like that. Basically I will just robot, and I would just try to call out the robot here, and I would say to the robot that switch 1, and I would write something called as switch 0, like that, and I would execute this. It will say power off, power on robot. So like that we can create a lot of magics, lot of lot of decorators like that. So let's do one more decorator now. So as you know that we have learned in our previous sessions that star will represent as args, nothing but the arguments, and double star is nothing but the keyword arguments. Okay, basically this will give you the result in the form of a dictionary, which we will learn even more wisely when we are doing the Python collections. Okay, so arguments are basically gives you the results in the form of a tuple. Okay, so now I'm just writing here, it will give you the form of the result in the tuple, and it will give you the form of the result. Keywords and arguments will give you a form of a result in the form of dictionary. Now what will I do is, I'll define something called a star once again. Okay, so this particular thing, I would define a particular name as star. So before defining this, Let me just so that there will not be any main name conflict. Okay. Okay. So now here in this, what I would do is I will write something called as test, guys. Do not get confused. So this is nothing but a parameter what I am writing. You can write any
Right.
particular parameter. Now I'm started my function here. Now I would write something called as series to print a series of stars. This is nothing but I've put one aux like this. Okay, and I've put one keyword aux like this. Okay, then I would be printing something called as like a star symbol, and I would multiply it with 30 times. Okay, so before writing this, let me show you a print statement of star x or else a star, and if I print, let's say 50 times, what happens? See, 50 times the star has been printed. So basically it means that, okay? Do not get confused. So now I am printing that particular stars like 30 times, like to go ahead and get me the output. Awesome. So now what will I do is I will just correct this. Okay. So now after writing this, now I will write a test over here. I will call it. But you should know that there are also parameters. This for so long we've been testing the particular we have been calling the particular parameter as a function, but there are no parameters inside the nested functions. But you can see that there are the parameters already assigned as keywords and arguments. Okay, arguments and keyword arguments, we needed to call this particular function like with the same args and with the same keyword args like this. Okay, now I would again go ahead and print like this, print star 30 times, print star 30 times like this. Once I do that, then I would figure out a way to go ahead and return the series, so that when I just say um, define u, okay, when I say define u, basically, and when I say something called as print, let us say I would write something called as Lu Yang here, okay, and I would pass out this decorator like something called as star, which we have just created, and I would be calling out u function, executing this. I would get Liuang, like basically first I have printed 30 stars this particular line, then next after this output, then again it has went to the particular print star, it has been printed the Liuang like this. Now again like this in a similar way, I'm copying I'm copying this and I am pasting it here, and I'm creating a function for the percent symbol. Okay, percent symbol with the same test and everything series, everything remains the same, but just I will take the percent symbol over here. Okay, do not get confused. I'll take the percent symbol over here. Now if I write percent here, if I execute this, you see the magic again. Nicely it's been printed first star, then again it has came first, it's printed star, first it has been went here, then it went here. Okay, after printing this it went to the name, then again it came here. Okay, no, sorry, again it came here, then it went here, it has given you the output nicely in this. So there is a task for you which I would like to give you to go ahead and try to use it like with different special characters, and try to do some executions which can make like and try to make an abstract or something